see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. I think I just have to press. Thanks a lot for inviting me here. That's really kind of you. And welcome to my presentation, which is called Norway in 3D, Winter Wonderland. So let me see. Why doesn't it move now? Oh, there we go. Sorry. I had some problems moving it, but it moved along. Grab your hot chocolate if you haven't done that already, because this is going to be a really cold journey, I can assure you. And my name is Elisabeth, and I live in Norway, not too far from the polar circle, actually. And all my stereos are sequential and parallel. So if you can't free view parallel, you would need some device like the owl, as we were already told. I'm originally from Sweden, from Stockholm, but I lived in Norway for about 25 years, and I'm married with 2 grown-up daughters. And I've been doing photography since my teenage years, basically. I'm not usually this cheerful. I blame this one on you, Gordon, because you asked me to do something funny for the 3D con poster, which I tried to do. So this is
great picture.
So this is what it looked like on Gordon's wonderful poster for the 3D con, which I also, because of this, had the chance to attend for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope I can attend many more times. I'm really grateful, I must say, to be part of this ever-growing, it seems, stereo community on Instagram. And I've even had the possibility to meet a few of my pals from in here, which I really appreciate. Don't try to free view this one. I'm just going to show you where I am for those of you who don't really know. I'm in Norway, as I said. 60.8 degrees north of the equator. That's about the same line as Anchorage in Alaska and the southern tip of Greenland, just to give you an idea. The polar circle is at 66.5, so I'm not really on the polar circle, but almost. That means that we don't get white nights where I am, but we get really long summer nights for sure. And in June, we only get, it's only dark for about 1 hour where I live. I'm just north of Oslo, which is the capital. And David has been there, I heard. How did it all start? How did I get to know about stereoscopy? Well, my grandparents had a stereoscope and quite a few stereo views, I've been told by my siblings, but I don't remember that, sadly. But I must have been playing with the stereoscope as a young child at my grandparents' home. But sadly, I don't remember that, and the stereoscope is also sadly gone, long gone. So this is one of my stereoscopes. I'm not collecting stereoscopes, and I probably never will, but sometimes when I trip upon something in a local shop, I usually acquire it. So I have a few, very few stereoscopes, but I really enjoy looking at these old ones. And the next thing that happened, I guess, like for so many of us, I got a Viewmaster at the age of about 10. This is the one, actually. It's a Model G. I still have it. I only had 3 sets of reels, but I loved them to pieces, and I was absolutely flabbergasted by this 3D possibility and the beautiful views I got. My favorite reel was actually the test reel, which came with this one, which was called People Around the World, if I remember right. And I still blame that for the fact that I like to travel a lot, and I visited over 90 countries so far. So I've lived a big part of my life abroad, away from Scandinavia, actually. It could have stayed there, I guess, but so please don't free view this either. It could have stayed with that, I guess. I've probably seen all the same 3D movies as you have and things like that, but I wouldn't have started taking stereo pictures myself, I guess, if I hadn't realized around 2012, 2013 that my favorite band from my youth, Queen, was on the road again with a new singer, Adam Lambert. And as I started looking for their tour itinerary, I found out that Brian May was on Twitter since a year, I think, at that point. And the thing is, when you follow Dr. Brian May, you think you're following a rock star, but you quickly learn that there are so many other things about him, and you learn so much about lots of interesting things like stereoscopy, astrophysics, animal rights, and as I had done a bit of photography before, I was quickly quite interested in trying 3D, and he was showing how to do that on social media. So I had to go. I probably got some encouragement on Twitter from Brian himself, and I was hooked basically. And I found quickly some other people who were already doing stereo photography in there. So I guess I learned a bit from them. And I must say that if it wasn't for Dr. Brian May, I don't think many of us would be here, because he has more or less single-handedly brought all us rookies together with those of you who are pros in here already. And we've somehow joined together on Instagram and other digital platforms like this one. And right now I follow about 470 people on my Instagram account, and most of them are stereo photographers. And I could never have dreamt about that only a few years ago. I don't know about you, but it's been amazing. It's been an amazing trip. But now I would like to take you on a journey through my winter wonderland. This is a picture taken very close to where I live. As I mentioned, I live in Hamar, which is a small town just north of Oslo, and I live by Norway's biggest lake, Lake Mjøsa. It's about the same size as Lake Garda, Lago di Garda. Is that correct, Mary? In Italy, which I guess many people have visited, probably more than Lake Mjesa anyway. I do all my stereos with my iPhone and the i3D Steroid app developed by Masuji Suto, which I'm sure you will notice. So I never use a camera or anything else. I just use my iPhone and the app, and that's it basically. And I guess it's fair to say, as I'm sure you will see also, that that the views I have available around me here are a lot better than my stereo skills. And I'm still very much a rookie, although I've been doing stereo photography since 2014, 2015, but I still have a lot to learn. So I'm still working on that. Here's another picture from Lake Mjøsa from last winter, actually. There used to be big Viking ships, believe it or not, on Lake Mjøsa a long time ago, but this is the only one we still have left, and it's run by a group of Viking enthusiasts, I guess. So this is, if you come to Lake Mjøsa, you can try this one. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Hamar very quickly, about the history of Hamar. The history of my little town, we're only about 30,000 inhabitants, but the history goes back to the 11th century. The town has been here since the 11th century, and people have been living in this area for at least 4,000 years, probably even since the last ice age, which disappeared in a way 10,000 years ago. So at least 4,000 years we have had people living in this area. And I just wanted to show you this picture, which is in mono, but I didn't have a good enough one in stereo myself. This is one of my favorite buildings in my hometown. And I do a lot of stereos. Those of you who follow me on Instagram have probably seen this building many times, but possibly not, because all my stereos of it are quite weird most of the time. So I just wanted to show you what it really looks like. In the middle, you see the ruins of the cathedral, the old cathedral. And then you also see the glass dome, which is covering it, so that you know what it looks like. This is a not so good stereo, which I took last winter, of the same building. And you can just about see the cathedral ruins from the year 1152, covered by this big glass dome, which was built in 1998. And this building belongs to the local museum here in Hamar now. And it was actually voted one of the world's 10 most beautiful buildings by the American travel magazine Travel and Leisure, and together with the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao and the I can't really see what is it, and the National Art Museum in Osaka in Japan. So we're very proud of that. And I've taken hundreds of stereos, most likely of this building. I took this quite recently because it changes with the weather and the time of the day, and not least with the seasons so much. And it's a magical place, really. I did this one just recently, and the tree and the sunset is actually behind me, so it's reflected in the glass dome around the ruin. This is another one of the entrance of the building, taken on a dark winter night. And here's another weird one from outside the building, with some of the frosty birch trees mirroring in the wall. Here's another one from outside of the building, because there is a clock tower which is freestanding right next to the building, which is usually beautiful also at sunset. And here's another one where you see the moon. This is in the daytime, where you see the moon up to the right. And another one from outside the building from last winter, when we had lots of snow and really cold weather. So it's a beautiful place, and you really feel the history, the wings of history, when you walk around there. I wanted to show you a little bit because as we live by the biggest lake, we usually have, before the lake freezes over, it doesn't do that every year anymore because of climate change, but some years it freezes over. But before that happens, we get a very rare combination of very high humidity and very cold weather sometimes. So when it gets like below -15 centigrades, that's the equivalent of that is 5 Fahrenheit approximately, if I'm right. So when you get a combination of really cold weather and really high humidity from the lake, you get this amazing rime ice, I think it's called in English. Correct me if I'm wrong, or hoarfrost, where you get these droplets from the fog, which sort of freezes into ice crystals, which sticks to everything, even to us when we walk outdoors, which can look pretty funny sometimes. Here's a picture, shows more of this in the big birch trees by the lake. And here's another one. You can just about see the lake behind the birch trees, which are all completely covered in with these ice crystals, this frost. And this also happens to, this is from my garden. You get these very beautiful colors when the frost is covering plants in the garden. These are my poor lost strawberries that didn't make it this year, all covered in also this type of frost. So this is not snow, it's ice crystals from the mist from the lake. And a little flower. And sometimes this happens, very rarely, I guess, but if you manage to get a combination of the full moon and this and the frosty trees and really clear skies. This happens very rarely, not even once every winter, but if you're lucky, sometimes at full moon, clear skies, and this amazing frost. I wish I could capture it a lot better. I tried here, but I'm sure you can get the idea of how beautiful it is when you see this at night. Here's another one from my garden. Frosty trees, and this is midday actually. The sun barely rises above the horizon in wintertime, so it never gets higher than this. This is midday. And this I took about a week ago, I think, at sunrise, which is pretty late, as I'm sure you understand. Here's another one at the lake. You can barely see the lake because it's covered in this frosty mist behind. And this is also taken at midday. So the sun is just above the horizon. This is my favorite tree, actually. Maybe somebody has noticed who follow me on Instagram, because I also take a lot of stereos of this one. This is one of my favorites because it's also covered in frost. But I have stereos from all seasons of this pine tree, actually, which is absolutely beautiful, just on the shore. And there's a beautiful bench underneath where you can sit and rest and watch the lake if you want to. This was taken last winter on one of the coldest days we had. It was down to almost 25 minus degrees centigrade. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but probably around 0 or lower, could it be? And this is not snow either on the trees. It's just such a combination of very high humidity from the lake and really cold weather. So we have these enormous layers of frost on everything, and it's really beautiful. This is another favorite place of mine, my summer house, which is now hibernating during the winter. And I've done so many stereos also of this view from many different seasons and times of the day. And it's a view I enjoy myself. This winter in March, the lake actually froze over completely, which doesn't happen very often anymore. But we had almost 2 months with down to 30 minus degrees centigrade. So it froze over completely, and it's absolutely beautiful when you're able to go out on a lake and see everything from a completely different view suddenly. And my town basically moved out on the lake, I had a feeling, for a couple of weeks. We even had a couple of cafes out there. There were benches, bonfires, and we spent almost every day after work or on the weekends on the ice together. This is my husband and my lovely dog Nala, who unfortunately left us for dog heaven in March, just after this picture was taken. But being out on the ice is always spectacular and always a wonderful thing to do. This is taken on another day. You can see the roads which were made on the ice for skating and for walking and using a kick. I don't know if any of you have tried that before, but we had some wonderful weeks out on the ice, which is quite rare, actually. Here's some natural ice art, ice sculptures on the shores of Lake Mjøsa again. And another favorite place of mine, we have a little mountain cabin, which we usually go to in March when it gets a little bit warmer, but when there's still a lot of snow around. So we like to go skiing there. The traditional way of skiing here in Norway is cross country. So that's what we do most of the time. I also do downhill, but cross country is really nice, and particularly in March when you get when the sun is starting to warm again, and you have beautiful, very cold snow. Fantastic. Here we have put up our skis to rest a bit. And here's somebody who's resting. Well, it looks like my husband and our little lapdog that weighed about 30 kilo are resting in the sun in March this year. Okay, I would like to try to start defrosting you by showing some summer photos, actually some summer stereos. This is from the Sognefjell Mountain Range Road, Sognefjellsvegen in Norwegian. We don't have Route 66 like you, David, but we have Route 55, and this is Route 55 in Norway. And it goes from the east, where I live, to the west coast, where you have all the beautiful fjords, and that's probably the landscape which is most well known when people visit Norway. But this is the highest mountain pass road actually in Northern Europe. The highest point is at 1,434 meters. So this is closed from November to May. And remember, this is a photo from June this year. So in the winter time, you will probably have 3 or 4 times more snow than this, and the roads are not open at all. So this is what it looked like when we traveled this road down to the west coast this summer. And here's my lovely daughter at the highest point at 1,434 meters. The mountain range is 1,600 meters high, but this is the highest point of the road, and she's freezing, as you can see, because it's only about 5 degrees here, whereas in our town it would have been about 20 degrees at that time. So to defrost you even further, here's a sunset from the other day, actually, a week ago, I think, just outside my office. So I hope this will warm you a bit after all this cold and frosty photos I've shown you from my winter wonderland. So thanks a lot for listening. Thanks for your attention, and you will find me on Instagram as 3D by Elisa, and on Twitter with the same handle. And thank you very much, Pascal, for also making a web page for me on your website, so you can see some of my other stuff there. Thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.